Welcome, everybody, for the first episode of the Miami Sports Vibes podcast live on YouTube now. I got my guy Jacoby with me. Many of you guys have heard his name before. He's been on my audio podcast. Listen, I just wanted to mix things up right now because we're about to experience a magical Dolphin season. And I said, you know what? I took a little bit of time off. I said, let me come in with year two of Mike McDaniel, year two of this offense, where I'm feeling great about my damn Miami Dolphins. I said, let me bring this onto YouTube, man. So I will have these podcasts on audio still, but you could catch us here weekly on this YouTube channel. I'm joined by Jacoby. Many of you guys know him, but for those who don't, Jacoby, why don't you introduce yourselves to the audience? Let us know who you are, your Twitter handle, and how you became a fan of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, thanks, Nando. I'm excited to be here with you. Finally getting back into podcasting myself. So, as you said, my name is Jacoby Robles. I met Nando through my other podcast, 916 Kingdom, which covers the Sacramento Kings. We got into touch because he was guest starred on a former Kings announcers podcast, and I'm a diehard Miami Dolphins fan. So I reached out to Nando and we were talking all about Dolphins, and he came on my podcast a few times. I went on his podcast a few times, and we both took a break, me a little longer than him. And so we're just kicking it off now. I've been a Miami Dolphins fan my whole life. I'm based in Central California, so I'm all the way across the country from my Fins, but whenever they're in California, you damn sure I'm going to be there. I became a Dolphins fan. A lot of people ask me this all the time. They're like, how did you become a Dolphins fan? Like, I live in the middle of Raiders and Niners fans. I became a Dolphins fan through my cousin. Growing up, I knew like nothing about football, and he's the biggest Dolphins fan there is. So the Dolphins were the only team I knew, and I thought their colors and logo scheme were freaking amazing. So that's how I got into it. I just stuck by it my whole life, and it doesn't make much sense for me to go to another team. It just doesn't feel right if I ever think about it. So I bleed my fins, and yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Hey man, we got another person, Josh Ritter, man. What's up to you? He's out here in California as well. So you got another little California Fins fan in the building.
What's going on, Josh? Hey, there's more Fins fans in California than in Miami, in my honest opinion. like I see them everywhere sometimes. And whenever I do, I make sure I take the time out whatever I'm doing to go talk to them, and it's pretty awesome. Like, I was at the Niners and Dolphins game this past December, and it was covered in Fins fans. Like, I couldn't believe it. So our presence is very strong here in California, that's for sure.
Which is crazy. Me and you were talking about this yesterday. We're like, damn, man, how come we always run into so many Dolphin fans? It feels like outside of Miami. Obviously, Hard Rock Stadium is home, but it's crazy how the fan base is in California. Me in New Jersey, you see the MetLife takeover. It's crazy. And it's awesome. Like, we're literally everywhere, just like Josh says over here. So shout out to Josh, man. And hey, great story. For me, I spoke about this on my podcast, but many might not know. I became a Dolphin fan through my uncle, man, just spending summers with him. He was always talking about the Dolphins. He loved all Miami sports, and going out there in Miami, I'm just like, you know what? Let me be like my uncle. Let me go and root for this team. And I stuck with them ever since, man. A little bit had to do with the colors. Like, the colors are freaking badass. And it stuck with me, man. It's obviously been painful. It's been a painful ass ride, but I know that eventually when we come out on top, which I believe is soon, it's going to feel great knowing that you went through all of these times where depressing times and then getting out on top, man. But shout out to everybody shout out to everybody here on the chat. Appreciate you guys chiming in. Appreciate you guys being here. Please like the video, hit that thumbs up button for us to support us. And let's get into this, man. Let's talk. So obviously today we had our first day of joint practice. All right. It was against the Atlanta Falcons. You heard some good news. You heard some bad news. Training camp is a little bit iffy. A lot of people don't like training camp. I do, but some people don't. They wait until the preseason, wait until the regular season. I'm a guy that once it comes to joint practices, that's when I'm really, really paying attention. That's when I feel like we're really trying at our best, or we can really see the holes that we need to improve on. So you've seen the videos throughout camp with pads, no pads. Tua throwing dimes. He's looking great. He's looking better than ever. Cheetah looks phenomenal, but what else is new? But after this joint practice today, you heard some mixed news. Jacoby, what could you share from the joint practices? What have you heard from today, and what are your takeaways?
Pretty much, I'm going to keep it simple. Like what I saw on social media all day today was how well Tua looked. I saw a few videos of these deep passes he was throwing up, a few that were just completely in stride, and it was just really awesome to see. Tyreek Hill looked completely unguardable. He was running routes that created at least like 5 to 10 yards of separation through his defender. Granted, I know it's training camp. I kind of feel the same way with you. Until we get to joint practices, that's when I really get locked into the matter. But, Tyreek Hill looked completely unguardable. But, the things that are sticking out to me, Nando, and I think it's things that me and you have discussed all offseason long, and probably stuff that Dolphins fans discuss every offseason, and that is the concerns with the offensive line. I haven't seen too much footage. I've seen a few. It just looks like the same old stuff we're used to. Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg just getting handled on that offensive line. And I was just seeing many tweets from spectators and reporters that were there that they were struggling tremendously. Connor Williams was even struggling, which was kind of a shocker to me because Connor Williams was one of our more consistent linemen last year. And another thing that stuck out to me today too was the struggles from Jason Sanders. Jason Sanders has not really been that guy since we gave him that big deal after the 2020 season. Jason Sanders was just money. He earned himself that big contract with Miami, and he has really not been the same since. And he had probably the worst year of his career last year. And saw that he went 3 for 7 on the day, which in training camp to me is just a little unacceptable. You're a kicker. That's all you work on. You're not even in a game. It's practice. It's training camp. You got to be hitting your kicks. You got to be hitting your kicks. And it's really frustrating because, in my opinion, I think we lost a couple games coming down to a kick. For example, the New England game at the end of the season could have clinched a week earlier, missed a kick I think it was right before the first half ended up losing by 2. Lost to Chicago. No, we won Chicago, but he missed a couple kicks there. Could have made the game a little better. I remember the Packers game. It just goes on. It's a big concern. But I would say, those are the things that stuck out to me. I think our offense is going to look really good. I think our defense is going to look really good. But it starts with the O-line, especially with the concerns with Tua.
Sure.
It's really concerning. And, the front office doesn't seem concerned. I want to throw out that Greer said at the beginning of the offseason, like, you guys are more concerned about O-line than we are. So, I just hope that I really hope the O-line shows up this year. I really do. Because, we got to keep that QB healthy,
Yeah, no, that's for sure, bro. And it's crazy because a lot of fans of teams, I feel like, overlook the offensive line. But when it comes to Dolphin fans, I think we all are well aware how bad this offensive line is because of what it has been for years and years. I mean, thank God for Teron Armstead. But then again, he's, has his injury history. Is he going to be available all 17? I don't think so. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And he's a left tackle, to his left-handed quarterback. So we can't have it doesn't seem like a Dolphins fan can have just a nice offensive line to feel good about. So pressure is on him. Pressure is on them as a unit to keep Tua healthy and to also, show some running lanes for these running backs, man. But another thing that popped out to me, Christian Wilkins, obviously he's been dominating at camp. He is a guy that wants to get paid. And it is his contract year. And as a Dolphin fan, Jacoby, listen, we love players that are on contract year because they're going to try their asses off. So
absolutely,
Christian Wilkins looks like he's going to give it his all. And I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the season he's going to have. Jalen Phillips, man, that's another guy who looks freaking amazing. I mean, this guy is a tank. And listen, plenty people that listen to my podcast know, and if you didn't, I'm going to just admit it. I was a guy that said, I want Najee Harris over Jalen Phillips. So, hey, listen, I
remember those. I remember those days.
I messed that one up. You guys could hold me to it, man. Jalen, I definitely regret that take. Jalen Phillips looks like a freaking stud. And I think Fangio is going to do wonders with this guy, man. Like, honestly, like, he looks in incredible shape. He's had a little bit of a slow start to camp, But I heard he had a good day today. He got a sack today, got a forced fumble against the Atlanta Falcons. That's a good thing you like to see. Tua did throw a red zone interception that would have been a pick six, from what I heard. So you don't like to see that. But the defense won the scrimmage for today, from what I was hearing. I think that the defense showed up to play, and they pretty much won it for us. Offense was shaky, outside of those nice, balls that you saw Tyreek catch. I thought that was awesome to see. But overall, it sounds like it wasn't a great outing for the offense. But talking about Tua, talking about the offense, let's talk a little bit more. There's another joint practice tomorrow. So, and then you have the game on Friday. But let's talk about this season. All right. Let's preview this season a little bit. Let's hear our expectations. Let's hear our thoughts. I haven't podcasted since talking about the Dolphins since we got eliminated. So I have not touched my thoughts on Jalen Ramsey edition. I have not touched my thoughts on Mike McDaniel year two, Tua, and all of these things. So let's hear. Let's talk about this season coming up. So I want to know your first impressions of Tua, and what are your expectations for Tua going into this year? Because it starts with him, man. Like if Tua
Absolutely.
is there, we've seen that story. So share with me
Absolutely.
your expectations for QB1.
What we saw last year was just Tua enjoying the game of football again. The confidence was soaring. The playbook was utilizing his strengths, and that's what's great about Tua, and that's what I want to see again this year, is just continuing to utilize what Tua does well and utilize his weapons. So, you know, we've been seeing it in the early stages of training camp. His confidence just looks like it's soaring through the roof. You've seen him be more vocal. I believe there was a clip right after the practice at Hard Rock Stadium where he was just getting into it with the offense. It was another sloppy day for them, and he was just getting into it. You didn't see that of Tua the first 2 years. You saw a little bit more of it last year, but then I want to see that leader Tua show up to just show them all what he's all about. But the big question mark is he going to stay healthy?
Mhm.
He's noticeably bigger than what he was last year. He's definitely looks a lot bigger. Hopefully that makes him more durable. We've been hearing the stories of him practicing jiu-jitsu to help him, fall better, which I like. He's making an effort to better himself, to make himself more durable, to keep himself healthy. So, uh, you know, to me, those are the biggest improvements I've seen out of Tua is the confidence. And I think that's the number one thing. I don't think I've ever really doubted Tua because I don't think the team the coaching staff was really behind him his first couple years. I don't think he was really used properly. And you saw he was just defeated in 21. And he straight up even told the media, "I don't feel wanted here." And it's hard for a player to give it all they have when they don't feel wanted. So, we've all had our anger stuff, and and some stuff has more come out about the behind the scenes of those couple years. And it's just really changed my whole perception on Tua. So what I want to see this year is just Tua doing his thing. And I want to see the offense continue to put up the amount of yards and points that they did last year. But Tua did everything. Tua did everything last year. It just sucks that his season was ended early. I just hope we can keep him healthy because, like you said, it starts with him.
It really does, man. A lot of people. All right, for this guy right here. Let me tell you something about this guy. This is my boy Nando. He has the same name as me. Is different last name though. This man is a Jet fan right here. So anytime you see a guy named Nando, and it's not me, obviously, on this, let him know. Let him know why Jet fans are Jet fans. Like why the Dolphins are better than the Jets. So get out of here with that. Record prediction. I'm gonna tell you right now is definitely gonna be better than the New York Jets. So you can hold me to that. And this is live, so you can record it. And
Yeah, you
the
can put me on there too.
yeah,
like
don't,
I
don't get don't
yeah.
get me started with the Jets, man. Let's not even go there. Let's not
Yeah, I
even
don't want
go
to go
there.
there just yet. Like it's a
Yeah, yeah.
long season. You'll be hearing from us.
For sure, for sure. But man, about Tua, a lot of people talk crap about him, and I think he's got a bad rap. Honestly, he's had, like you said, first year with the head coaches, with the change in the offensive coordinators. It's tough, but he finally got a coach that believes in him. And we saw what he was able to do. I don't think at any point in time, like anymore, as far as talent, I feel like Tua has shown that he's a talented quarterback. I feel like Tua can show how to get things done. You saw the game against Baltimore, where I was at. That was amazing. Right then and there, when I saw that game, you remember we talked about it. That game changed how I felt about Tua, like completely. Like I don't doubt his ability to perform. I only am scared of the durability stuff, the concussion history, the injury history, his the injuries that he's had. Can he stay on the field? But I don't think how people still talk about his arm and they talk about his talent. I think that is just so ridiculous. I mean, remember, I think we were 8-3 with Tua playing as a starting quarterback. Like that's a pretty damn good record. And the dude was honestly in the MVP consideration talk. So I'm excited to see what he has in store here for year 2 under Mike McDaniel's system. And I think most importantly, it's great that he has a coach that believes in him. And it also helps when you have two of the best, if not the best duo in the in the whole NFL
Oh,
with
the best
Tyreek
duo
Hill.
without
Yeah,
without a doubt.
without a doubt. You know what I mean? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, the two fastest receivers in the league. Nobody can check those guys. And having those two on your side, it just makes the job so much easier. Let's talk about Tyreek Hill. Listen, Tyreek Hill, honestly, he quickly has become my favorite Dolphin of all time that I've seen. I love Ricky Williams, but this Tyreek Hill, man, he's freaking incredible, man. I got the jersey so quick. He is so electric, bro. He's so fun to watch in person. Like I said, I went to that Baltimore game. The dude brings it, man. He brings it. He wants it. He carries a swagger to himself. He talks his shit and he backs it up. I like a player that talks shit and backs it up because I don't like guys that are just too quiet. I feel like everybody needs a guy that's just, a little crazy out there. And Tyreek
Yeah,
Hill's a little crazy. So he already saying he's going to get 2,000 yards this year. He was named number 7 in the top 100 list. Tyreek Hill, man, how do you feel about Tyreek Hill? Do you think are you saying, he shouldn't say he's going to get 2,000 yards? He's getting too ahead of himself. Are you okay with that stuff or not?
absolutely. Like you said, that swagger, that confidence. Like I'm all for that stuff because I feel like Tyree could have gotten there if Tua played all year. Like he was he was damn well on his way. But yeah, man, Tyreek Hill, dude, he to me is like the heart and soul of this offense. He backs up all of his teammates. He hypes them up in ways that we haven't seen from the Dolphins in years. Like after every touchdown, he's the first one, they're hyping up his team. Him and the chemistry between him and Waddle has been so special to see. Like they love each other to death, and they both know what they want for this offense, and they know what they got to do. And I think it's truly special to see. I think we completely deserved getting Tyreek Hill on this team. And I'm excited. I think he can get to 2,000 yards. I really do. But he did say, correct me if I'm wrong, but he did say, I think in that interview with the 2,000 yards, he said, well, first and foremost, my goal is to win a Super Bowl here. That right there, man. He's like, and then it's 2,000 yards. So that right there, man, it gave me chills because like we haven't had that kind of talks with this team in years. So
Nope.
this was probably the greatest move Greer has made in his tenure as a Dolphins GM. And he's already talking about retiring as a Dolphin. He wants to be in the Hall of Fame as a Dolphin. He wants to be known for his time in Miami. When has been the last time you've had a Dolphin of his caliber or a player of his caliber talk like that for this team? So like I said, man, heart and soul of this organization. And I think, it's gonna pay off this year for sure.
Without a freaking doubt, man. I'm freaking excited. Tyreek Hill, I could watch these highlights on repeat, man. He's freaking awesome. And I like what he's done, most importantly, for the next guy we're going to talk about, which Jonathan here shares that I think Waddle will have a breakout year. I am 100% on board with that, man. I think this is all set up for Jalen Waddle to have a great year. We talk about year 1 where you're a rookie, you're getting your footing in. Then you're a sophomore, right? All right, you understand what it's like. But now year 3 and year 2 in a system, I think that is when a player really breaks out. Year 3, you really see what a player is about. And I think this is set up for Jalen Waddle to have a huge year. Obviously, playing with Tua, he's got familiarity there. Mike McDaniel, And Waddle had his fair share of some drops. A couple times we were critical of him. I know, Jacoby, you were at a game live in person where Waddle honestly lost the game against the Minnesota Vikings at home.
Yep.
And there was also a big play in the playoffs. Like, this guy, every time he jumps, he doesn't catch the ball. It's like, just
Yep.
stop jumping, Jalen. But you got a guy like Tyreek Hill right there coaching him up. I think he's learned from a lot of his mistakes, and I think Waddle's going to have a breakout year. What are your expectations for Jalen Waddle? How are you feeling about him going into year 3?
I expect the same thing, man. Year 3 jump. I'm ready to see it. This is his second consecutive year with the same playbook, and we know what that can do. We know what that really can do. I'm excited. I really feel like he probably made an effort to improve on his catching ability and ball security. But like you said, man, like, I feel like a second consecutive year with the same offense, the same playbook. And we seen it last year. Cornerbacks focus on Tyreek, leaves Waddle wide open. It just makes a huge decision, and so quick, so little reaction time for defenses to make on who to cover. So yeah, I'm just ready for it. I really think he's going to have a huge year. There's a possibility that him and Tyreek can both get over 1,300 yards. I can definitely see it for sure.
Listen, that would be icing on the cake, man. If Tua stays healthy, they finish 12-5. Listen, I sure hope so.
I think
this troll right
that's,
here.
yeah.
You see this troll? You see this?
Yeah.
But
I mean, at least it's not a Buffalo fan. I can give him that.
That's true, man. Buffalo fans are the worst. I can't. I could deal with Jet fans, especially this guy right here. But 12-5. What do you think about 12-5? I think that's.
I think 12-5 would be probably the ceiling.
Yeah.
But I think like their floor would be 10-7. Yeah, because there's 17 games now. Probably 10 wins. They need to get 10 wins this year. They need to
at least.
So
at
like,
least, yeah.
Yeah. Especially with this division, if they don't get 10 wins, they're not going to playoffs. So
I see 11, but we're obviously gonna do our record prediction, and probably next week we'll probably do part 1 halfway through the season, and then part 2 after that. So let's save it. But 12-5 does sound nice. This actually is where I wanted to go to next. Dalvin Cook to the Fins, man. So obviously you've heard the rumors. He's visited the Jets. He's talking about the Dolphins. He's halfway in, halfway out with both. What do you think about Dalvin Cook in this situation? It's a weird situation. I mean, especially when everybody thought he was signing with the Jets. And I honestly thought that as well. I'm kind of seeing, like, my take is I think Dalvin wants the Dolphins, but Greer is not giving him is going to overpay for him. And I'm not talking about a crazy overpay. I'm just, Greer doesn't really value running backs, and that's the way it is. And I think Dalvin wants to play for Miami badly. And his fallback option is, if Miami doesn't offer anything at all, he's going to sign with the New York Jets. But what do you think about Dalvin Cook? Do you want him? How do you feel about this? What do you think?
Man, this has been more than a weird situation with Dalvin Cook. Like, we've been hearing about Dalvin Cook to the Fins since like February. Like, we didn't know when the Vikings were going to release him, or if they were going to release him or trade him. And, Greer did have a trade in place to get Cook, but it fell apart. Yes, I would 100% love Dalvin Cook on the Fins. You win Super Bowls with stars. Dalvin Cook is a star to me. I don't care what people say about him being washed. He had more than 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns last season. And if that's washed, like, I haven't seen a running back do that since JJ probably. So yeah. So like, I'm all for it. Especially since he wants to be here. You like I was telling you, man, like, you don't see players. We haven't seen players of their caliber, like Tyreek Hill and Dalvin Cook, say they want to be here. So I'm just like bring them. Like, I'm all for it. Bring him in. But I don't think, I'm on the same boat as you. I don't think Greer's going to do it. I've been losing more and more confidence every week that this has dragged on, especially when the Jets freed up more cap space and brought him in for a visit. I was like, okay, it's over. He's going to go to the Jets. So, but I don't see it. I don't see it making the Jets too much better, because they have Breece Hall, and I just don't see the Jets taking the ball out of Breece Hall's hands. So like, I mean, like, they're probably bringing in Cook to ease up his recovery, but once he's all good, like, why would you take the ball out of his hands? Like, that is your star running back. like year 2. So I mean that's just my opinion, but I don't know. I like I said, I don't see it happening anymore. It's just gone on too long, and right now I feel like it's just a distraction at this point.
Mhm.
And if we're gonna roll with Mostert and Wilson, fine, like that's fine. But I'm not a too big fan of it. I mean, I liked Mostert. I like what Mostert did last year, but there's a reason why San Francisco moved on from those two guys. They got Christian McCaffrey. Look what
Mhm.
he did for their out. Like you win Super Bowls with stars. So I just think Greer should do it. But I understand, like, we might be in some cap hell pretty soon, but we still got to resign Wilkins. But
And
I
Tua.
mean, yeah, and
Tua's
Tua,
coming up
yeah,
as
Tua is
well.
going to be due too. So I mean, he's got to do what you got to do. But I want to bring him in, but I don't see it happening anymore.
Yeah, listen, Jets want Dalvin to make Brees return easier. That's the only way I can see it. It's
Yeah.
like, to make his recovery better. But like you said, once he's healthy, then Dalvin Cook, these star running backs are become a little bit of a diva. Let's say Dalvin Cook gets to a crazy hot start. Now Brees is ready to go. Are they gonna, what's gonna happen there? Regardless, honestly, I think adding a talent like Dalvin Cook, man, even though it's taking so long, I mean, it would be a thing of beauty for either team. I think it honestly puts you as a contender, honestly, because I think both of these teams, the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins, I think they're both knocking on the door to be a Super Bowl contender. I think they're right there. They're probably a piece away. And like you talked about Dalvin Cook's stats last year, the Duke can still ball. If
Mm-hmm.
you add him to this Miami Dolphins team right now, I think it puts you right there as a Super Bowl contender, top of the AFC East with Jalen Ramsey coming back. Because here's my thing on running backs, man. I feel like I understand how they're not valued as much, but when you think that if you think your team is good enough to win a Super Bowl, that's when I think you go out and get that running back. If you're a rebuilding team, or if you're still years away, or if you're a wild card team barely reaching the wild card, then I understand. But if you think your team is good enough, I think you go out and get that running back. Like, I really don't
Absolutely.
care. I don't care. And the fact that this guy wants to play for you, it's so obvious. I just don't understand why Greer doesn't just pull the trigger, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, Mostert has injury history. Yes, he's nice. Jeff Wilson, injury history as well. Both of these guys went down last year. I love A-Chain, what I seen from A-Chain, but at the end of the day, he's a rookie. He's not going to get the bulk of the carries. Dalvin Cook can get you a bunch of touchdowns. He can get you that short yardage, those 4th-and-1 situations that we saw even in the damn playoffs. Listen, Cook gets you those first downs. Cook gets you touchdowns, even with a shaky offensive line. Like, the dude's been here before, man. And I don't think it's gonna happen, because I think it would have happened already.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's gonna end up on the Jets, man. And it sucks for us, because we're obviously gonna have to play this guy. And I think that really boosts up the Jets and their thought process of becoming Super Bowl contenders. I agree with this, by the way. I do agree with this.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even see the Jets being a Super Bowl contender with him. Like, it's just, have we learned nothing from Denver last year? Like, why are we praising this team so much and they
Mhm.
haven't even touched the field yet? Like that, I mean, that to me is just crazy after what we saw what happened with Denver. When Russell Wilson got traded there, they were being the dubbed the ones to come out to the Super Bowl. So I mean, I'm not getting anywhere near intimidated or scared of the Jets about being a Super Bowl contender until I see them play. So I mean, that's just me though. That's just me.
No, no, you gotta earn it, bro. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm just enjoying all these Jet fans talking. Listen, I hear the noise because I live here, so I
Yeah.
hear it, and they're going crazy. They're going nuts. I have a few friends of mine outside of Nando that have been talking, and they really. I had a Jet fan tell me that, hey, they're going 13-4 this year, and they're gonna win the chip. And I'm like, how can you do that? I just like listen, I get optimistic, but shouldn't you also be like a little cautiously optimistic based on what
Mhm.
you've been through? You guys have been through almost the same stuff as us, if not even worse.
And you know what's
Like,
hilarious is when we say that stuff, we're idiots. So like that's just
yeah,
it
man.
never fails. It's
It-
always the world versus Miami. That's how it's always going to be.
oh man, I'm telling you, man, it really is like that. Huge Rodgers fan here. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, man. Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna look, man. I really don't. But
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see how it looks.
no, yeah. I mean, it's spicy, man. I think our division is gonna be the best division in the league. Or you could
I
argue
will
with
give
it.
Jets fans this. It is very hard to hate Robert Saleh. I do love
Yeah,
their head coach.
yeah. He is a dog though. I like
Yeah.
his responses to Sean Payton and after
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
absolutely.
I do like it. I do like it. But enough about the offense, man. Well, actually, one more thing about the offense before we move on to the defense.
Yeah,
Mike
absolutely.
McDaniel going into year two. What are your expectations? What are some things that you didn't like? Do you think he'll bounce back after those? How you feeling about Mike McDaniel?
Well, I'm gonna be completely clear with all of you. I might get some hate for this, but I am not as high on Mike McDaniel as everyone else is. Yes, he brought some great things. He's probably the best coach we've had in a long time. But here's the thing: a lot of people, this isn't talked about enough. He was out coached 4 weeks in a row, and I witnessed two of them in person, like the San Francisco game and the Chargers game. After the San Francisco game, I was like, okay, you know what? Teams are going to struggle against the number one ranked defense in the league. It is what it is. Tua had the best stats against quarterback had against the Niners. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just move on. LA, I was at that game too. LA took away everything Miami utilized on their offense for their advantage, and no adjustments were made whatsoever. Tua had like two completions in the first quarter and a half, and it was just extremely frustrating to see them just go back to the same stuff. And even after halftime, nothing, like, it just looked depleted. So that was an unacceptable loss because the Chargers, that should have been a win. They had barely anybody playing on defense. Granted, they got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back, but the defense was such a mess last year. So that's another game. Buffalo, you're up 29-21 with about 7 minutes left, and you continue to try to pass the ball like more than 20 yards. You abandoned the running game when Raheem Mostert had 100 plus yards. That's another game that was unacceptable. They should have won that game. If they run the ball, like, the running game was working. The running game was working, and they couldn't seal that. If you have an 8-point lead with 7 minutes left, I don't care if they're Buffalo. Josh Allen had like 2 turnovers, I believe, that game. You should win that game. You should win that game. I don't want to give him too much on Green Bay because Tua was concussed.
Right.
But I mean, another thing we see too is special teams was a mess that game, and all year long his time management was really bad. It never got better, especially with his timeouts. The team had horrible offside penalties all year long that never improved. That to me is coaching. I'm not a football coach. I'm a basketball coach. But when little things like that just take discipline, that to me is coaching. Like, they got to be disciplined enough to not go offsides. So to me, Mike McDaniel, he has a lot to prove this year. He does. He was not in by any means an amazing coach last year. He did bring out the best in Tua. I will give him that. But his rookie self definitely was on display last year. So that to me, I need to see improvement with the time management. I need to see improvement with making adjustments. You can't just rely on one game plan, especially when a team knows how to stop it. You just can't, especially with a team like the Chargers. So that's my opinion on Mike McDaniel. I'm not trying to bash him at all. I mean, I love the guy. I love his personality. I love what his offense is doing for our players, but we need to see some improvement. And the wild card game too. Couldn't get a playoff on 4th and 1. I 100% believe if they got that first down, we're tying that game, or at least winning, or maybe winning it.
You can argue that.
I mean, that was I remember screaming. I was so pissed. I was so pissed because I don't want to waste too much time on this, but like, you should have got a playoff. You should have.
For sure, bro. And obviously that was a big part of the game. You can really argue that the Dolphins, were, I don't know if you could say win, but we're in better position to possibly steal that game in Buffalo and win the playoff game. Like, that game was tight, man, and that 4th and 1 was crucial. The clock management issues, I was very, very annoyed with it. The timeouts as well. A lot of times where Tua can't hear his play and Tua's calling timeout to begin the third quarter. You're going to need
Mhm.
those timeouts in the fourth quarter. What are you
Absolutely.
doing? How are you guys not on the same page? Is it a mic issue? No, it's just he's trying to get too cute with his playbook. I think he's just searching for that home run, that
Mhm.
splash play. He does not like to keep it simple. And I just feel like I have to be critical of Mike McDaniel because look at what Brian Flores did with this team, right? He did more with less talent. Mike
Mhm.
McDaniel didn't do more. He did
He
less
went 9
with
and
more
8
talent.
with a
9 and
top
8
5 offense.
with a top 5 offense with Tyreek Hill, with Teron Armstead. Flores didn't have Armstead. Flores didn't have Tyreek Hill. Flores didn't have a year 2 Waddle. Flores didn't have Bradley Chubb. He didn't have Jalen Phillips, having the season that he had. He had a little bit of a different season his rookie year. So how do you end up 9 and 8 with a talented team like that, even with Tua going down? You know,
Mhm.
you still have talent there. So I have to be critical of him, man. But I do love Mike McDaniel. I think he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to have a better season here. Year 2, I feel like as a rookie head coach, you learn from those mistakes. And he's a smart guy, man. Like, I really do think that he works on his stuff and he's going to be a much improved head coach. I love Mike McDaniel. I believe in Mike McDaniel. I believe in Tua. I believe in this offense, and I believe in this damn Dolphins team. Another thing that I want to talk about, I want to touch briefly for about, let's say, for about like 10 minutes on this defense. This
All
defense,
right.
honestly, um, was, you know, so more towards bad, especially the DBs. The DBs last year, they were giving up. I feel like it was a holding or pass interference on every call. It's just a matter if the ref's going to call it or not. Like Keon Crossan, Cater Kohu,
Yeah.
these dudes were just hacking left and right, man. It was ridiculous. So I was very excited that we ended up with a huge splash, and that is adding Jalen Ramsey. Personally, one of my favorite players. I know my little brother, he's a Rams fan. He was upset to see Jalen Ramsey go. Um, and I know, hey, but listen, little bro, you won a championship with Jalen Ramsey, so it's time to
It's our
pass him
turn.
over.
Our
Yeah,
turn.
exactly, man. But I was excited, and then unfortunately he went down with the injury, which sucks. But at the end of the day, he's not out for the season. He's going to be back. Reports are saying for December for those final 4 games, and then hopefully playoffs after that. Jalen Ramsey going down, man, to a depleted cornerback depth position. How do you feel about Jalen Ramsey, his loss? Do you believe, or do you think the DBs are now screwed, or will they be all right missing Jalen Ramsey here?
So, well, first off, when it happened, I was like, of course, like what, like it's the Dolphins, of course. What
Hmm.
was even more infuriating was he didn't even have much injury history too, so that wasn't that would then make him much feel better. But to start off, when we did acquire him, I was pumped. I thought that was a great move, especially with how depleted the defense was, and especially how depleted we were at cornerback last year. Like it was absolutely insane how it just kept piling up. So I will agree with Greer on that. He said, like he said, you can't have too many cornerbacks, and I'm all for it. So I don't necessarily think we are screwed because we have I know we didn't get into this, but we have Vic Fangio now, a defensive coordinator. Nando, if you look back at a lot of the big plays Miami gave up last year and you're looking at the coverage, you're looking at the play, you're like, what are they running? Like, and then like it was so head scratching. Like we didn't have like that defense that just lit a fire on the defensive side of the field and just had those game takeover moments. We didn't have any of that last year. Like Xavier Howard didn't have his first interception until week 12.
That's all he had.
And,
One.
and and it was such a pointless interception. It was like fourth and long, and he intercepted it in like near the end zone. So like it was just really mind boggling. But I don't think we're screwed. I think what Vic Fangio is going to bring to the table is going to set this defense up for success. And Jalen Ramsey was out of the off crutches on day 6 after the surgery. So I mean,
Which is awesome.
he's doing whatever he can to be ready. I'm a little nervous. I don't want him to rush it. I want him to be 100%. So, but we can be patient because it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I think that honestly, the defense is going to take a step up because if you tell me last year, obviously we had the same defense, but you're gonna add Vic Fangio. Like Vic Fangio is probably arguably the best defensive coordinator that's on the market. In my opinion, I think he's the best one out there. That's available. That's not a head coach. Obviously, you got some nice guys that got some head coaching jobs, but Vic Fangio, when it comes to defense, this dude produces like game changing players. Like he makes players Pro Bowlers. He's done it with Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb is a guy who last made the Pro Bowl under Fangio. And that's one thing that the Dolphins need. Like we paid Bradley Chubb big money. We traded for him. We want Bradley Chubb to have a hell of a season. And
And
now
he
you're
he
gonna
was
have
like a non-factor when we traded for him.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
he yeah, just couldn't find it.
And when you pay somebody that much money and you're trading, you have to have that guy be an impact player. So now you're gonna have somebody who he's gotten to the Pro Bowl already. So he knows how to play in that system. I think it's great for many reasons. Honestly, it's a different scheme than Boyer's scheme. All right. He runs a 3-4. I think that's going to be exciting. It's a lot more zone. It's not a lot of man. So it's a lot more zone coverages that he's going to be playing. So I think that's going to benefit Xavier Howard. So a lot of people said Xavier Howard, one pick, like what's happening? Is he washed? I don't think Xavier Howard is washed, but he does look a step slower. But honestly, when has Xavier Howard been a guy that's fast? If
Yeah, I
anything,
agree. Yeah.
he gets burned by anybody that's fast. He got burned by Elijah Moore when he was on the Jets. He got burned by Diggs. He got burned by John Brown. He
DeAndre
gets burned,
Hopkins.
yeah, by speedy guys. They're just running through X. So, and that's what happens. Play man to man. So I
And
think
he
that
also
this
did deal with an injury all last year. Like he
that's
was on the
true.
injury report every week.
That's true. And
So
honestly, credit to X because a lot of times before in the past, X has an injury and he says, I'm good.
yeah,
I'm out. But credit to him for pushing through. And I think that Xavier Howard is going to have a better season pretty much because of Vic Fangio. I think him having more of that zone scheme, them running the 3-4, I think you're going to see this defense really kick it up a notch and play much better than you saw. I think Kohu's going to have a better season. I like that Nick Needham is returning. We've seen what he can do before. Obviously, hasn't had much success since Flores left, but Nick Needham has a little bit of something in there. Cam Smith, a rookie that we drafted in the second round, he's going to get the opportunity to shine. Having Vic Fangio there and Ramsey in his ear, I'm expecting big things out of him.
You weren't too happy about Smith.
I wasn't. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, but now after the Ramsey injury, I think everybody's on board with Cam Smith.
No, I remember telling you, like you tweeted, you're like, can somebody explain to me a reason to be happy about this pick? I'm like, think about at the end of the season when we had no cornerback. That's exactly what I told you.
Yeah, no, you did. Listen, now I'm a big Cam Smith guy. I might get myself a damn jersey, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think he's gonna improve the defense, the DBs. I think we're gonna be all right. And I think right here, Bradley Chubb has to have a big year for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think he's gonna make sure that we're gonna also get a lot of sacks, man. Jalen Phillips looks like he's ready to take off. Bradley Chubb had success with Fangio in the past. Get into the quarterback and getting sacks. That's going to be key for this defense. And then in December, you get the icing on the cake with Jalen Ramsey coming back, and then you're able to do
maybe sooner.
A lot of great things. Maybe sooner. Emmanuel Agba is not getting any airtime on this show. I am not a fan of Emmanuel Agba, so let's not even talk about him.
I was kind of wondering about that too.
Talk about a guy who's just stealing money, man. I mean, how does somebody have 10 sacks and then the next year have 1 sack? I mean,
and then got hurt for the whole year.
I mean, don't get me started, man. But I think Fangio, with the zone scheme, with the sacks that he's going to be able to produce and what he's going to be able to do for Bradley Chubb's game is what's going to be exciting for me. Two things before we wrap up here, man. We're at 44 minutes right now. I appreciate everybody tuning in again. Appreciate the comments you guys are leaving. Hit that thumbs up button to support us. You guys are great. Appreciate the support and get the word out, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell any Dolphins fan to
every
catch
Tuesday.
us. Yes, every Tuesday. So keep it locked in here for sure. A couple more things, though, before we wrap up. Super Bowl contender. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but now we talked about the offense. We talked about the defense. Are the Miami Dolphins legitimate Super Bowl contenders? Where do you rank them in the AFC, Jacoby?
I think they have a great chance. I don't want to come out here and say I need to see more. I don't think I do. Last year when they were playing to their full potential, they were like steamrolling through everybody that they played. And I'm just excited to see them now with a real defensive mind. And like when Jalen Ramsey comes back to a full strength, I don't see any reason why we can't contend for a Super Bowl. Winning, like getting past Kansas City, that's going to be their biggest challenge. I think they can get past Buffalo. I think they have a great chance if everything hits on all cylinders. I definitely think we can be there. But like I said, everything's got to hit. You know, like they got to get lucky with the injury. Can't really, you can't really use injury as an excuse. But goddamn, like it's just it happens all the time with this team. But I mean, I don't see any reason why we can't contend for a Super Bowl with this squad.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. I am going to go out here and say that if Tua stays healthy, let's see, here we go. If Tua stays healthy, they are Super Bowl contenders. That's it. I agree with that 100%, man. If Tua stays healthy, I don't care what else you lose. I still think that this coaching staff has enough to recover. But when it comes to the quarterback position, I think that's where you draw the line. If we go down to DB, just like we have with Jalen Ramsey, I still think that this coaching staff with Mike McDaniel, what he knows with Fangio, the defensive side of things, I think we're going to be able to pivot through any type of injuries because injuries happen. But when it comes to losing Tua, I think that's where it stops. But if you give me a healthy Tua, I think this team is right in there at the top of the AFC. When you talk about Buffalo, when you talk about Kansas City, you talk about ourselves, and you could talk about the New York Jets if they get there. Cincinnati as well. I think it's a tough AFC, a very tough AFC, but I think we're absolutely contenders. And if you're going to give me a healthy Tua, and we talk about the guy we did earlier, Dalvin Cook, if you give me Dalvin Cook with this offense and you give me Ramsey coming back, I'm saying it right here. This is recorded. Dolphins will go to the Super Bowl. If you give me Dalvin Cook and you give me Ramsey back, everybody stays healthy. That roster with Fangio, Mike McDaniel, I'm picking us over the Chiefs. I'm picking us over the Bengals. I'm picking us over whoever. Don't sleep on the Jaguars. I love that comment. I love Trevor.
I love that comment too. I do.
Shout out to the Jags. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. I like that. This season is all on Tua. Absolutely. And listen, he's.
I will say. I do want to say this though.
Yeah.
We saw whenever like, did we win? Yeah, the only game we won last year when Tua was out was the last game of the season, right? Like, yeah,
that sloppy
the
Jets game.
Yeah. Okay. This coaching staff needs to be able to win games when Tua's out. Like, I don't like. Yes, I know Tua is the heart and soul of this. Is one of the heart and souls of this offense. Is the quarterback. He makes the plays. But still, when you have an offense with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, you should be able to put up big numbers still. Whoever's slinging the rock, so that's to me, this coaching staff is going to have to find a way to pull out games. If Tua gets hurt or misses a couple of games, the coaching staff is still going to have to figure out a way to pull out games because to me, it's still no excuse. You got to pull out games with these two weapons on your team. You have to. But like, I'm not saying go win a Super Bowl without Tua, but I'm just saying like they got to be able to pull out games. Like that Vikings game without Tua, they should have won that game. They should have won that game. Like that. And then New England, they should have won that game too. Teddy Bridgewater just could not do anything. So I'm just like, I'm like, if this offense is only designed to succeed with Tua, then like you need to come up with some sort of plan. Like I just want to throw that out there. Like they can't go winless without Tua if he gets hurt. It can't happen.
Well, that's why they pay the money that they did to get Mike White, and we'll touch a little bit more on him on next week's show. I think Mike White, though, quickly, I think he's a guy that I like to have behind Tua. I like him because he has that mentality of a true backup that's just a gunslinger and just doesn't care. Like you got balls and I'm just gonna throw it and I don't care what the results are. I'm gonna play aggressive. Reminds me a little bit of Matt Moore. But Mike White can
Matt
win
Moore,
you.
Man.
Remember him? Just gunslinger, man.
Yeah.
Like I think I see a little bit of Matt Moore and Mike White, man. I'm not gonna lie. So I like him as a backup over Skyler. But when push comes to shove, and you're talking about not just winning games, okay? I'm talking about Super Bowl and playoffs. You need Tua. I think
you need Tua.
I think you still get a good quarterback with Mike White to win you some regular season games. Like I have more confidence with him than with Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson. Because look at this, he'll play hurt. He's a dog. I mean,
Yeah.
you saw that with the Jets. So for sure. So obviously, last question before we wrap up: the Dolphins play their preseason opener Friday at 7 p.m. at Hard Rock Stadium. Obviously, you can assume that plenty of our top guns will be out as it's the first game. I don't expect to see Tua, Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard, and all of those guys. But can you give me one thing that you're looking forward to seeing for this first preseason game?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to preseason, I don't really get too locked into it. I mean, I'll watch some highlights, but if you want to ask me what I want to see, I want to see some Cam Smith reps, and I want to see some A-Chain reps. Like those are two things I really want to see. I don't see Tua, Waddle, or Tyreek playing, but I would love to see reps from those two guys. Those what I would definitely want to see. Because if we're not going to get Dalvin Cook, A-Chain's the future, man. Bring him in. Like, let's go.
Listen, A-Chain looks like a beast, man. He did get a little bit injured, I believe, today, but I think he's all good. But I want to see him get some reps in there. Want to see Cam Smith reps for sure. And want to see this offensive line get a lot of damn reps. Liam Eichenberg, you need to play the whole freaking game. Austin Jackson, play the whole game. Figure this shit out before it's too late. All right, so I want to see the offensive line. That's the what I'm keeping a close eye on. I'm just gonna watch the offensive line. I don't even think I'm gonna even watch the game or the ball. I'm just gonna watch that offensive line.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do for this preseason opener. But everybody, once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the show. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the likes. Keep hitting that like button. Share this show with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Like I said, we'll be back here next Tuesday. Talking a little bit about the Dolphins and Falcons preseason opener game. And then we're going to start diving into record predictions for the Miami Dolphins. So we're going to go game by game. Jacoby and I are going to predict wins or losses and why. So we're probably, since it's a long season, 17 games, we're probably going to break that into 2 episodes. So part 1 will start next Tuesday. And we will catch you guys then. So I appreciate you guys tuning in to the show. It had a blast and looking forward to seeing you guys next week. You can catch us every week. Like I said, right here. This is on audio as well on my podcast and on video on YouTube Live on Tuesdays. Jacoby, any last words you got to say?
Yeah, it was fun first episode. I'm ready to do this every week with you, man. It's going to be a blast. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at Jacoby016. I talk a lot of crap to Bills fans. I tweet like as stuff happens with my sports fans, so it gets a little funny. So yeah, but thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited.
All right. There you got it. Follow him. Make sure to follow him. Does an excellent job. Give him a follow, man. He's a great follow. And Dolphin fans, let's get a win. Even though preseason doesn't matter, let's get a damn win.
Absolutely.
Let's go, Dolphins. Thanks for coming in, guys. Check you guys next week.